Okay, let's let some people join and then we can get straight into it. Does look like we're going to just not really get too much today anyway. Yeah, very strange structure being built up. Probably looking like we're going to get more upside potential than downside. Just with the price action that we've been getting. But yeah, we'll see what happens and go from there. But yeah, it's not looking. I mean, the structure is all over the place. It's not exactly a very nice structure to be trading with, but try and make do with what we've been given. But yeah, we'll go through a market update in just a few seconds. And then, yeah, we'll just scout out what looks good. Yeah, again, there isn't going to be a great deal. Yeah, volumes just died off with price structure. So I think we've had majority of our big moves. Maybe see a push up to this area again, about 17,000. But yeah, apart from that, don't really see too much else happening. Yeah. Let's get some news on. Um, Bankman Fried released on 250 million bail bond. Fuck my life.
Scott Minerd climbed the corporate finance ladder to become a founding and managing partner at Guggenheim Partners. Minerd was regarded as one of the most respected voices on the fixed income market over the last decade, and a much sought-after guest by financial media, including Bloomberg Television, for his view on markets. Minerd's first job was at Price Waterhouse, which gave him the opportunity to analyze hundreds of financial statements, something that benefited him later as CIO for Guggenheim. While still in his early 30s, Minerd became the global head of fixed income at Credit Suisse, working for legendary investor Bob Diamond. Despite his incredible early success, at the age of 37, Minerd decided to move to LA with plans for retirement. And in 2000, Minerd met members of the Guggenheim family and became one of the founders of Guggenheim Partners. In a statement, Guggenheim Partners CEO Mark Walter said Scott was a key innovator and thought leader who was instrumental in building Guggenheim Investments into the global business it is today.
To whoever's joined, welcome to the stream. Yeah, we'll go through an update in just a second. But let's just have a little scout out as to some potential trades to take. Again, as mentioned at the beginning, there isn't really much that's going to be offered today. There's just very minimal participation today. Volumes minimum. But there'll be a trade or two that we can take. So hopefully we can get in on that. Obviously, we cashed in our Sol trade this morning. Nice 100%. Unfortunately, the one that we had open yesterday obviously touched the break even overnight as it pushed up higher. It gave us a better entry to go in short, but yeah, the sellers weren't taking control. So yeah, we pulled out profit. Yeah, so far so good. But yeah, I mean, the structure that we're getting is just a horrible structure to trade. So it could even be the case that we don't even trade it at all. So, yeah, we'll see. See, this doesn't look too bad. Not sure if there's going to be too much left in it, but for a very quick move in and out, probably looking at 2% gain. Yeah, roughly. It's not too bad. But yeah, there really isn't going to be much to play around with today. And it does look like we'll probably see a little bit more upside potential than downside. So, yeah, we'll see. If anyone's looking at something at Scout and something that looks good, feel free to drop us a message in the chat. We can take a look at it. At the moment, obviously, we're just going from top to bottom on our watch list and just pipelining some potentials. This doesn't look too bad. It's already probably going to move relatively soon. Yeah, no.
Commercial viability is probably still decades away, but this new technology has huge potential. According to the Fusion Industry Association, each pound of fusion could produce as 10 million pounds of coal. But what is fusion? Nuclear plants today use fission, where an atom is split to produce energy. Fusion does the opposite. Two atomic nuclei are combined to create a heavier atomic particle, with the reaction giving off energy. It produces no nuclear waste or dangerous radiation. A disaster like Chernobyl isn't possible. Billionaires like Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates and Peter Thiel are already investing, and startups have received almost $5 billion.
Just looks good to continue back down, to be fair. However, obviously it is at this order block here, or at least just above it, so might be a little bit more downside just to move straight in. But yeah, it does look good. I really want to get in somewhere around there, but could move down. There isn't much more room for it to go down until support, so
former President Donald Trump for inciting violence in an attempt to hold onto power. The 800-page report details Trump's behind-the-scenes fury and his efforts to pressure state officials and the Justice Department to overturn the presidential election. Now, Bloomberg has learned that China plans to cut quarantine requirements for overseas travelers from next month. Under the new rules, arrivals from abroad will only be subject to 3 days of monitoring. China currently requires travelers to quarantine at a hotel or other facilities for at least 5 days after their arrival. And a once-in-a-decade winter storm is battering much of the U.S. with snow and also freezing temperatures. More than 3,500 flights have been cancelled so far, with those through Chicago and
Yeah, there really isn't anything really. We literally got 2 down. Um, not much.
at some point, and that's over the holiday period. Inflation in Japan has further accelerated to the fastest pace,
We did like to look at Luna, see
excluding fresh
last night.
0.7%
Um,
from a year ago.
yeah, I mean it's moved.
The data may fuel
It's just a bit of a riskier trade, so
markets again, with more
as soon as we could move it to
in the new year.
break even, we did, and obviously we got tapped out just on this move. Yeah,
By more than 27
um,
journalists and analysts in more than
yeah. I mean, would have been a very nice profit. Well, no, that's our entry. Yeah, 3% would have been a very nice move. But it's all right.
It is quite thin volumes, but I love the story. First of all, Bavarian Nordic, really a must-watch today. The U.S. Department of Defense for vaccine development. The stock is gaining some 5.9%. We should probably talk about Bavarian Nordic more than we do in general. Phillips saying that tests on recalled products are showing the limit of the health risk.
By the way, those that are joining us, welcome.
Gaining some people.
Feel free to ask us anything in the chat. Yeah, I mean we've kind of gone through the list right now.
Also take a look at some of the key things that we're watching out for today.
Nice. I mean everything's kind of really not got that very nice structure to play around with, but BNX has got some nicer structure to play with. So we'll see whether we can continue, find some support relatively soon, and then start building back up for a breakout. If not, then yeah, we'll be coming all the way back down. So, but I mean, it's some nice structure to play with compared to the majority of the market. There really isn't much. Nia was looking okay, but again, not much room for movement. Got a bit of price compression on waves. See how that goes. Yeah, there really isn't much. It's already tapped in. I mean, it's had a whole load of supply dumped. A lot of times. I mean, it's still very bearish, so I mean, we could potentially get re-entry here. It's treated us well so far. I mean, the structure on the hourly is very nice. Obviously tapped into liquidity once, twice, and then we got a bit of a larger move to the downside. However, obviously we're not seeing any volume whatsoever, but the price structure is nice. But yeah, we had supply dump. Could see a continuation. Double top continued. This looks alright. Double top. See if we can break through.
No holiday cheer. Global stock markets are mixed ahead of U.S. inflation data. Tech faces its worst December since the dot-com bubble burst. Bankman-Fried bail, the FTX co-founders, released on a 200.
Oh yeah, we do get price PC price index figures today for that New York Open. So that's going to be an important session, and that's where the majority of the move is going to come.
Now, despite the current economic climate, nearly 1
Yeah,
million people in the UK have either started
yeah,
or
8:30
considered
New York time.
last year. That's according to new research by accounting professional body AAT. It's something that the Green and Black's co-founder is no stranger to, having set up the organic chocolate company during the early 90s economic downturn.
This looks nice though. I like this.
Co-founder of Green and Black. Really congratulations.
Yeah, came up, tested this as new resistance.
What kind
So
of advice would you give to entrepreneurs that want to do something, but actually the economic climate is very tough for them?
I think that actually a tough economic climate is a really great opportunity for startups, because a lot of the big businesses are very nervous. They've got their finger on the pause button, waiting to see which way the wind blows. And actually, when you're a startup, you can just literally, you've got your goal, you keep powering forward, and you haven't got anything to compare the current trend to. So I see a lot of dynamism during recession times, while the big guys are kind of twiddling their thumbs and going, oh, let's see how this pans out.
So, Joe, when you look at
yeah, I like this.
is Green and Black actually recession-proof? Is chocolate in general recession-proof, or do you have the same kind of inflationary pressures as other markets do?
I think the great thing about chocolate is that it is a fairly low price treat. And actually, at times of recession, we want to have those treats probably more than ever. A small treat as opposed to, a big piece of clothing or something. So I think that chocolate is probably recession proof, but I do see that there is a strong trend towards the kind of chocolate that we pioneered and that we still make today, which is ethical, sustainable. During the pandemic, people had a lot of time to think about where they wanted to spend their money. And I think that is only going to continue, because we are going to be spending less, we are going to be thinking more about what we spend it on. And I think that notwithstanding a cost of living crisis, we still want to make sure that our money is spent in a good way, with heart.
Does that change in a downturn? I mean, I'm not saying it changes, but actually, your high premium chocolate, will people still buy a chocolate brand that's, fairer and better for society, but more expensive if the recession hits?
We're just over £2. I don't think that's expensive. There's a lot of chocolate out there for £8 or £12 now that's actually the same size and the same cocoa content as ours, but doesn't have the sustainable credentials, and it's just much more expensive. So
Come on,
kind of, if you pardon
give me
me,
something.
a sweet spot. But I really do encourage would-be business owners not to buy into the doom and gloom that is out there right now. As you said, AAT's study showed that 1 in 3 people want to start their own business, and there's actually they backed a brilliant website called informe.co.uk that actually has an ebook on there that people can download for free about how to start your business in 20 days. Now, we're going to have a few days off for Christmas, but if you were to restart on the 27th of December, by the middle of January, you could probably have something that was pretty much ready to go.
This looks okay.
I find that
Like this.
yeah. No, it is and it's an amazing brand. I like to say, you say it's £2, but actually, I mean, I buy larger packs, so I've never met a £2. That's like, if you don't like chocolate, Joe, this is maybe, the problem with my problem anyway. When you see some of the inflationary pressures, what do you worry about the most in 2023? Is it the price of cocoa? Is it transport? Is it packaging?
I think that obviously transport has gone up massively. The price of containers, etc., is off the scale compared to where it was a few years ago. And for smaller brands, that probably means prioritizing certain markets over others because it can be more expensive to ship less stuff. But and yes,
Especially after the structure here, got triple top.
and what I would say
1, 2, 3, broke through.
you know
And obviously we're coming up and testing that trend line. Already found some
because I think it's
liquidity higher up.
make sure that as
Just at this order block here.
or a manager, you have the resilience, the personal resilience to kind of weather the storm that we're currently experiencing.
Does look good.
When you've got a team that depends on you,
Just need
and you've
this
got
to
family.
move with us.
So, I will be keeping my head down while powering forward. And I think the great thing about having a business that's been around for 3 decades is what goes around comes around, and there will be an end to this. But as I say, for those would-be startups, I think it's a time of great opportunity.
Yeah. But it's hard. I mean, sometimes it's lonely at the top, especially if you have everything on your shoulders. So how do you build a team? Like, if you need advice, if you're going through a tough time as an entrepreneur, who do you speak to? And, what was your relationship like with the banks at the start?
Well, the first 20,000 for Green and Blacks came from me selling my flat to move in with my husband, my business partner, and literally I had £34 left in the bank after I bought 2 tons of the first consignment of Green and Blacks. But what I would say is that it's incredibly important to have your finger on the pulse of where your business is financially. You need a great accountant. And what I see often in business, I was lucky. My husband had been in business before. I tapped into an existing distribution network that he had with his brand Whole Earth. But it's very hard if it's one entrepreneur starting up on their own, it's very hard for you to be good at both the creative side and the financial side of the business. And that's where a trusted accountant comes in, a professional who can literally let you know at any moment of the day or night what your cash flow is, what your projections are, how much money you've got in the bank. I mean, I know you can look on your phone, but how much is that really? And also any bank that you are dealing with is going to want to know that you have that information right there.
Yeah. So, Joe, I mean, one of the other things I hear quite a lot from entrepreneurs or actually, venture capitalists planning to invest is that there's a concern in Europe and in the UK that very big companies then don't become big quickly enough. And so there's, the first mover advantage, if you have a brilliant idea, is squandered compared to some of the US. Do we need to be more like US companies? Like, is there a UK advantage?
I mean, I truly believe in the kind of first.
This looks really nice though.
I think that I've founded 5 different businesses now, and they've all been the first of their kind. And I think that that I have no interest in something that is a Me Too business. But I do think that if you've got a good idea, it's going to take a great deal of work to get it to a point where a venture capitalist is ready to invest. I mean, it took us 9 years. We sound like an overnight success, but venture capital came in after 9 years. It would probably be quicker now because they are more interested in getting in earlier. But that's where making sure that financially you have everything in place if you want that investment to grow is incredibly important for sure. But any would-be entrepreneur who wants to build a global brand, it doesn't happen by magic. You have to roll up your sleeves. You probably have to make some sacrifices. And you do have to find a way of striking a personal balance whereby, you're not running on empty while you're trying to build this.
And Joe, again, what's if there's a young entrepreneur or someone that's been thinking for a long time, open a business, what's the perfect mix? Do you start locally here in the UK and see what happens, or do you have to start trying to export quite quickly to be sure that you have that brand recognition?
I think you have to decide and you have to be strategic. I think the biggest mistake we made at the beginning was actually exporting to too many small markets too quickly, because each one of them proved to be as much work as sending 2 containers of chocolate to America. And that's as much work as sending a quarter of a pallet to Estonia. So and I believe one of the best starting points for any business is to put yourself in your customer's shoes. And all of my businesses have been founded on maybe a slightly arrogant principle that if I need something and it's not out there, the chances are that lots of other people feel the same way too. That way you can tap into your instincts, you can tap into your insights. You need focus group. If you can't find something, there's probably a business opportunity there.
I love that. Joe, thank you so much. Joe Fairley there, co-founder of Green and Blacks, joining us this morning. Now, coming up, how has this year fared for UK stocks? We discuss the winners and losers. That's coming up next, and this is Bloomberg. Economics, finance, politics. This is Bloomberg Surveillance Early Edition of Fronting Aqua here in London. Now, UK stocks have had a wild ride this year, but some have fared better than others. To tell us who sunk and who swam, we're joined by our stocks reporter, Joe Easton. So, Joe, clearly been a tough year for UK stock markets broadly. Which are some of the individual worst performers that stand out to you?
That's right. So a lot of these companies are really exposed to the high interest rates. They've got big debt loads and they've struggled to keep up those financing measures throughout this year. So some of the stocks we've got on the screen here, we're looking at Weatherspoons as a good example. Not only do they have quite a big debt load, but they're also facing this squeeze on both demand and also margins. The cost of keeping beer cold, cooking, that's all coming up given the energy price increase. They've been hit quite severely. Moonpig, look, birthday cards are pretty recession proof, but the gifting business is not so recession proof. People do tend to trade down when you go into recession, buy cheaper gifts. They've also been hit by a strike as well. That might explain why I've had so few Christmas cards this year. Maybe not though. And also Synergion down the bottom. This was one of the best performers in 2020. It rose around 2,500% on a COVID-19 drug. However, in March they announced that actually this drug doesn't work, and the stock sank and is now down around 93%. So clearly some individual names to keep an eye on, but also the ones that are exposed to the high interest rates are really the ones that have been hurt the most.
I'm terrible, Joe. I printed cards, Christmas cards, and haven't sent them yet. How about the most impressive winners of the year?
That sounds quite organised to me, I think, Fran, but I think some of the best winners this year, yeah, they're quite surprising really. We had Balfour Beatty on the screen here. Now, most of the UK construction companies are really down a lot because they're exposed to the property market, the housing property market, which has really tanked. Balfour Beatty, though, they're building the High Speed 2 project, which will link London to Manchester. Might not be ready until 2033, so something to look forward to. But they're also
2033, wow.
So just an idea how they're diversifying away from the main UK house buildings. Me Group, we spoke about earlier, a bit of a strange one. They run photo booths all around train stations and airports. So when you need a new passport, you go down there and try to look nice for a photo. There's been a big boom in passport demand over the past year. Around 10 million Britons have renewed their passports after restrictions were removed. Photo Me, now known as Me Group, up around 80%, a pretty good return for those investors.
Joseph, what are the stocks that you think could be attractive in 2023?
Yeah, so I do think we could see a bit of a rebound in some of the domestic sectors, so the home builders, the banks, and also the retailers. But there's some really good businesses to look out for.
Wow.
WH Smith,
Oh.
a company that was absolutely flying before the pandemic, but then was hit by the travel restrictions, and that hit a lot of their sales around the airports and train stations. Still well below pre-pandemic levels, and some investors are getting more excited about that one now. That could come up. Gym Group, I know we'll all be thinking about the gym in January after we veg out over Christmas. That's at the lower end of the pricing point, so people are looking to cut back on their costs. But if you're at the lower end of the market like Gym Group, they might be able to maintain their membership numbers. And then finally, Restaurant Group, and they own Wagamama and also some of the other chains like Frankie and Benny's. They've been hit hard by the recession fears, people cutting back on their spending going out. But as I mentioned to you earlier, I do love a katsu curry, so that to me is one of my favourite stocks out there at the moment.
There you go, Tradign, single-handedly supporting Wagamama. Thank you so much. With the very latest in stocks to watch for next year. Now, tech firm valuations have taken a beating this year as expensive growth stocks lose favour with investors. This has also hit London-based female-focused health tech company Elevie, which has suffered a big drop in growth this year. Bloomberg's Tom McKenzie spoke with the Chief Executive Officer, Tanya Bowler, about the challenges that the business has been facing.
Definitely slightly reduced our expectations on growth. So having gone from, to be honest, around circa 100% year-on-year growth, this year we're looking at about 25%.
How well capitalised are you? How challenging is the funding environment?
I'll be honest, it has definitely been difficult this year. I think overnight investors have really moved away from anything with discretionary spend. But for us at LV, one of our key channels also is health insurance, particularly in the US, so that's very repeatable and predictable income. So we've managed to weather that storm. Luckily, we have a group of investors who are there to support us for the long term.
Okay, and you mentioned the supply chain challenges. Are we at a point now where those have been addressed? Are we back to kind of pre-pandemic levels in terms of supply chain efficiency, or are there still areas that are holding back the business?
Yeah, there's still, I wouldn't say there's full efficiency across the supply chains in general within consumer electronics, but we've at least seen a real switch from there obviously being a real supply issue within Asia, particularly on components and manufacture. Asia has now ramped up to meet that demand, but we're still seeing a lot of inefficiencies.
I want to focus a little bit on the UK before we let you go. The regulatory environment here, you're a successful London-based European tech company with your roots in the UK. What more can this government be doing to support businesses like yours?
I think it needs the support at every different level. We have a really vibrant ecosystem here in the UK. We have a lot of experience in terms of both now on the investor side and the other side of the table in terms of entrepreneurs. But
entrepreneurs themselves, we need more entrepreneurs to choose London as that place to set their businesses. So, for example, entrepreneur tax relief that has been cut. I would suggest that needs to be there as an incentive so that entrepreneurs are choosing London over Paris or Berlin. After that, obviously, we need top talent, and for that, we need to be looking again at the immigration and allowing the tech that we know we need the tech talent to come into this country. And thirdly, I would say in terms of trade, we're a British company, we're exporting. We need the UK government to be looking increasingly at those export barriers that we're all facing now as British businesses.
So that's a nod to Brexit, the Brexit effects, and that is a negative, that is a drag on your business.
Absolutely, yeah. Brexit has impacts in all UK businesses who export into Europe. It's also just increased paperwork and bureaucracy in terms of how we can export, as well as obviously increased taxes.
Are you able to quantify the Brexit effect on your business?
We haven't been able to quantify it, but for us, so essentially our main markets were the UK and the US, and then we had plans to go into Europe. But with everything that's been happening with Brexit, it just makes us relook at those plans and make different.
Okay, final question. The UK Chancellor has said he wants to turn the UK into the next Silicon Valley. In your view, sitting here as an entrepreneur in London, is that realistic as an aspiration?
Absolutely. We did our fundraise last year. It was the largest fundraise for Femtech. It beat anything in the US as well, and that just shows the level of commitment, investment, and passion here in the UK.
Well, that was Tanya Bowler, the Chief Executive Officer of UK-based health tech company LV. Coming up, it's been a wild year defined by lightning fast inflation, a war in Europe, and recession anxiety. We'll look back at some of the biggest moments of 2022. That's coming up next on the CBC.
Okay, sound. All right then, guys. Right, we'll do a quick update on what's happening, and then yeah, we're going to come off and then come back for the New York Open. We have obviously got some trades in the pipeline now, so yeah, we're ready for that New York Open with obviously that PC price index figure that we will be getting out. So, I mean, yeah, on the 1 hour, it's looking pretty shoddy. Demand coming in. Here, not a whole load of demand coming here, but we've still got some decline in buy side. I think that's the main thing to take from this. Yeah, there's potential for ever so slightly for prices to push up, especially going down to the lower time frame, getting a nice price compression, as you can clearly see. Yeah, we got one here as well that it broke out from. Okay, made a breakout, found resistance relatively quickly, started to compress again. So yeah, we could break up, move maybe towards this area again, and then come all the way down, or we can just simply break down. This was quite abnormal price action that we were getting on the very low time frame. So let me go down. As you can see from these spikes here, okay. So yeah, they were obviously clearly liquidating some people on those wicks. So I think that's kind of the main thing to take from there. Yeah, prices are going to move on that PCE figure. But yeah, if we move up, we move up. It's going to be a brief move up. I don't see it moving heavily. I mean, we've got that 200 on the hourly just tweeting above, so it could be a case they'll be very briefly break out, tap it, and then come up. We don't even make it all the way up here. So yeah, bear that in mind. But yeah, I mean, the price action isn't great. Buy side's completely died off, so it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe fake out to the top, wick on the top, and then just continue all the way back down. Yeah, I mean, we got some GDP figures from the US yesterday, stronger GDP. Initial jobless claims also came in hotter, or came in less than previous, but higher than forecast, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, labour market's still continuing to look tight. But yeah, hopefully we can get a breakout in a few hours. But yeah, we've got some trades in the pipeline, so let's see what we can get. Yeah, things are looking good. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us, and we shall touch base with you a bit later on. Come join us for that New York Open. We'll come live about 1:31 UK time, and then we'll stay on until price action dies off, and then more than likely to close off till we come back from Christmas. But yeah, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day. Cheers.